Hey guys, my name is Nate and this is my brother Steven. Together we are Wingman Merch.
Thanks for checking out our video. We put these up about a month after we shoot them. If you'd like to catch any of these videos live, check out our Facebook page. The link is in the description.
Welcome to this week's Merch Monday for November 5th. It just hit me how late in the year it is. Done so much traveling this year, and for people to start talking about 2019 and what's coming up next.
We are done with our pre-flight 2.0, which I think after a full year of teaching and trying different things, it finally feels like we've found something that works best for us.
Yeah.
Teaching in those small groups, I think, is the best fit for us. So moving forward, all of our teaching and training will be done in smaller group forms. It just feels like we get a lot more feedback, drawing things out over a longer period of time and kind of seeing where people are struggling to be able to address them. If it is one person or it is a group of people, it still feels like we have a small enough group where we can cater to everybody's needs. So nobody feels like they're getting left behind. And even people that are like, oh, I really missed week 5. I need to go back and rewatch this. You guys are doing amazing. Before I jump into week 6, give me like a quick recap. And then other people in the group, like putting things together to give them, was like something that we didn't think about before and like really helped us. And then other people asking us to share the slides because we kept on forgetting. Just different things that I was like, oh, this is why we like helping people and teaching people. And the smaller group, I think, caters to how we like to teach. And it was such an enjoyable experience that I think that is how we will continue on. I had an idea to do training live like this and then chop it up and then do courses and then do different stuff, but I think we're going to strictly stick with live training, teaching, offer some educational pieces recorded, but not like a course. If we are going to do a course, I want to do it live in small groups.
Yeah, there's so much information that we just gave out in the last 7 weeks, and like having everyone to understand the pace that we were gonna go at. Like the first week, there wasn't a ton of like information knowledge that we just dropped. It was like, okay, this is what we're gonna do. Do you guys have any questions? Like, where are you at? Make sure everyone has merch accounts, like they know what's going on.
10,000-foot view.
Yeah,
here's a question.
People were like, okay, how do I get like the fast track? Like, how do we get this done like tonight? And we're like, just wait till next week. And then like we unpacked a little bit more, and they're like, all right, that's great. How do I look at my CSV file to know what I did wrong? And then just like, making sure we go slow. We usually don't like to like hold on to information. Like if we know something, we're usually, okay, this is what we found. But doing it at that pace, and it wasn't super slow. It was just once a week we were covering something. The first week or 2 might have felt a little bit slower. But then after like week 4 and 5, it was just a ton of knowledge that we're dropping on people. They're like, okay, we'll be ready for next week. Like we need to go back and rewatch this. We're going to take notes on it. And like Steven said, even having people in the group like share their notes so that everyone can like see if they're getting all the information. The whole experience was like super enjoyable. But yeah, small groups I think is where it's at for us. We get to connect with everybody kind of one-on-one to one. If they have questions, they don't feel like they're getting pushed out because there's too many people. And it's not like that one-on-one coaching where it's like more demanding, I guess, of someone. Like if you're not super strong in art and you're listening to 2 weeks of me talk about art, like you don't feel like you have to show up. You don't have to be the one answering all the questions. You can kind of just sit back, wait until the keyword stuff comes, and run it that way. So yeah, I was really happy with the way everything played out.
I think it caters to how we like to interact. We really like going to a lot of conferences. We really like talking to people face to face. This is the first time where it felt like that in this small group that we taught. And just seeing all the positivity that came out of it and all the people that have taken action and have success already. And then just seeing even people going, oh, I've had this idea and I've been trying to get it to sell for the last 7 months. I took you guys' advice, and then in 2 weeks, or even what's her name, the next day, was selling. Like that kind of stuff is so powerful. I think there's just because there's so many small aspects of merch that people gloss over, and it's hard for us to go into depth on every little thing. When we talk about landing zones, I hope that concept is known by everybody in here, but not to the depth of what we dug into. And then finding additional keywords, not to the depth of that we went in the training. And that's just answering those questions and then split testing, doubling down, a lot of things that we've probably said but not explained well, having people ask us the questions to even me go, oh, this is what we're assuming people know and understand this as, and we're just kind of glossing over a lot of this. We should explain it this way. And then making visual aids, all that stuff came from inside this group. So I was like, this is a perfect way for us to teach because it's more knowledge being given and direct impact into people's businesses instead of like, here's a concept, good luck now, do whatever you think you can do with it. It's like, here's all the information that we have on this topic. Ask us questions throughout the whole week. We'll answer back. And then here's next week that builds on top of the first week. And then just the whole way that we set up the class and everything, I think was really good. So I want to do that a lot more. So this was going to be a one and done, but now I think we're going to have these probably quarterly, do these live training for merch the way that we're doing it now. Because I feel like it's such a solid base to build off of. And I feel like if you've gone through this, then now I can teach you KDP. I can teach you other platforms. I can teach you bundling. Because it's, you need all this information to have a base understanding to go to the next piece. So I'm excited about that and just how we now have next year set up better in our minds.
Yeah, it was cool definitely to get a lot of our merch knowledge out there and for people to start grasping that and finding success with it. But it was also really good for me and Steven just to learn how to like teach in the 7-week like course mode with like the slides and really setting everything up and like the things that we liked about it, things we didn't like about it. We could definitely see improvement even just going back and watching the first and second week. We're like, oh yeah, by the end of this thing we were like, had this figured out a lot better for ourselves. So improvement for us as well. It was a lot of fun. Susan's in here. She was in that pre-flight class. Just saying we did an amazing job. It was like, I don't know. We have our VIP group, but like this was almost like a littler version of our VIP. Yeah, almost an extension of that. Where like almost after like week 2, everybody felt comfortable with each other. They were sharing information openly, just helping each other out with any questions that came up in the group. Like all that stuff was awesome. And just getting that feedback, like that's huge for me to improve on whatever we're doing. So that was a lot of fun. But
I hate that it's over. Yeah, Nathaniel said it too. It is bittersweet.
Definitely.
Like, it was a lot of work, probably a lot more work than we thought it was going to be going into it. We had everything laid out. We had the slides roughly done. And then every week we kept on adjusting. So by the time we got to like week 3, we almost had to dash away the rest of it because we went on a different direction. We still got all the information out, but how we presented it was different. And where we spent a lot more time was catered to the group. And I feel like this is how we should teach because we go into it assuming a lot of things and then getting, like Nathaniel said, the feedback from the group, we were able to like keep on tightening it up and making it more catered to that small group. So we have a lot of knowledge. We have a lot of experience selling online, but how do we give this to people in a way that they can take action on it is constantly like a battle that me and Nathaniel are having back and forth, not with each other, but just like with the group. Like what can we do to get these people to take action? Because no matter what I say or what I reveal or amazing tricks, nothing is that easy where it's just like a magic pill. Like there's nothing that I'm going to give you that immediately overnight you're going to have perfect success unless you take action on it. And a lot of things people are like, oh, I know a lot of that, but I didn't know how to actually put it into action. So you gave me actionable steps. And this is why now we're having success with this almost overnight. You're doing, Nathaniel always says it, you're missing it by like 10, 20%. Like you're doing most of the work. You're just not, there's a little bit of understanding that you're missing, and it's just that you have to take action on to have success with it.
Yeah, it's almost impossible to like for someone to like point out exactly what you're missing too. So you need that big picture, which we painted over the 7 weeks, but then each one of the weeks we really went into depth and like multiple times we're like stopping to make sure, is there any questions? Do you guys have questions? Like the questions that you guys have inside of those weeks, I think really what made everything come together was like, oh yeah, that's a small part that we forgot to add to this, but like that is a big reason that you could get hung up and maybe not be able to move forward. So like whatever little questions people are asking, that stuff really compounds on itself and helps just paint a bigger picture and then make that picture actually like be able to be done with all the steps there. So
I think even awesome. Through week 1 through 3 we had it pre-planned and set up, and then after that we really switched gears and had the presentation is a lot more interactive. And it was like, that's something that we didn't think about before, because we don't see anybody else really teaching like that, where it's like a live classroom for people like raise hands and answer questions on the fly along with giving the presentation. And I was like, oh, that's where I think we strive, is in the questions and answering the questions and clarifying. And I think just in that small group, again, being able to teach it in a small group where we can go, hey, we try to have these at an hour tight, but if we're going to be answering questions and stuff, it might draw an hour and a half. But everybody in there was so open to being able to, like, they were saying that one when you were teaching art, we're like, go all night because we love this stuff. And I was like, it just opened up my eyes to go, okay, we have a tight hour, but if we're answering questions, it will draw it out. But everybody was so open to what they wanted and asking questions to clarify that it helped everybody in the group. There was no like, I didn't want to say this, but everybody felt open to be able to ask any question at any point in the presentation. And you're good enough to like follow chat. That's off to you, because I can't do that at all. Like if I'm presenting, I have to just present. But if you ask the question, then I can answer the question and go back to presenting. I just can't read and then try to go through the slides. Like that's a mission impossible for me. I don't know what it is about that. I just can't do it.
No, I think one of the biggest things I pulled out of this teaching of like learning how to teach a little bit better is to have more visual aids and like a written post that goes along with everything. I think Marsha was the one who like shared her notes every week, and that was awesome.
That was yeah. Big shout out to Marsha. That helped a lot.
Just having those like hitting those three things, like the way that people learn, either it's like the visual, the audio, or like the text written down. So that was like in me, I was like, oh yeah, we've just been doing like long form video. We've just been doing the Merch Mondays, but if you're not sitting down to watch that, like you're not getting any of this content. So now learning that we need to make more posts, we need to show more like visual aids and things like that. I think that will help just everyone learn what we're saying on these long form videos a little bit better.
Yeah, we're taking out of that group and trying to apply it more to this group. And then like, I think having each thing broken down into a week, we really like that. But if we expand it out to a month and have the whole month on a certain topic or theme, I think will help us and you guys inside this group, where everybody kind of is on the same page. So I'm pretty sure we talked about it last week, that this month we're going to make all art. I have been pushing Nathaniel to do a lot more education from his perspective. And I think inside that Pre-Flight 2.0, there was a lot of people asking for that. So it was like, oh, it's not just his older brother saying it, is a lot of people that are giving good feedback to go, yes, we really want that. We really liked when you guys broke down these tools. We really liked how you explained everything from an art perspective more than just a keyword perspective. Because I feel like a lot of this year was very focused on keywords and landing zones. And yes, it's a solid foundation, but now I think it's to go the next step is let's sprinkle both of those back in. I think we started that when it was like keywords 1 month and art the next month, and we did that for maybe 2 months.
Yeah, it didn't last very long. It like merch is very dependent on the keyword knowledge that you have, and I think a lot more people come to this group understanding some art, but the way that we are doing research for t-shirts is so unique and so almost like reverse of how other people list shirts, that I think it was worthwhile spending most of this year talking about just the keywords. But now that we have a better way of explaining it, and I think there's more knowledge of how we're doing that out there, we can start focusing on both aspects. And then even, other things outside of just the keywords and the art, how to like manage your account, and then even past like the merch things that we're doing, how to use these designs in other places, and all the creative stuff that Steven wants to be focusing on. So no, it's cool to see like the knowledge of this group overall grow with the amount of content that we've put out, and now us like learning how to put out better content in different ways, helping everybody just understand what exactly it is that we do. Like Steven said, we have all the knowledge, we're doing this stuff daily, but to explain it to somebody else, it's not as easy as like, oh, just, this is what I'm doing. It's a long process to understand for us how to teach that, and for someone else to like actually pick it up and use it.
Yeah, we say split testing all the time. We say doubling down all the time, but like to actually turn that into slides that people could understand took us a long time to like grasp the concept, and then how to visually show people. Because it is I think once you see it and understand, it's a very simple concept, but to explain it, it's like very, I don't know, far out there. It's not like concept where you just go, oh, this is what it means. It's
Right.
like, this is what it means, and this is how we're using it, and this is what the end result of it is, and this is how we actually pull all the information out. It's like so many different levels to what we just call split testing. So
Yeah, and that's not like the traditional way of like split testing. If you do split testing for anything else, like when we say split testing, it's slightly different than all those other ways.
I wouldn't even
as
say
well.
slightly. It's like probably completely, completely different.
Yeah. So, no, 2.0 was awesome. Like Steven said, we do plan on teaching that again, just in a small group setting as well. I'm not exactly sure on the dates or what any of that looks like because that class literally just got over like 4 days ago. But it is something that we really enjoyed and that we want to do more of. So we'll be talking about that ourselves and let you guys know as soon as we have some plan of action for ourselves on how to move forward. But like Steven said, this is Art Month. It's official. It's here. November, like I said, I can't believe it's already November. We've got Christmas trees up and the
You don't have a
weather's
cool
starting.
graphic that we could toss to? That would been...
It's not December yet. I'm
Okay.
not. No.
Well, I'm just saying, even for Art Month, you don't have like a cool like Art Month
Oh no.
background.
I like my hanger. So I am going to be talking about art a lot more this month. I've been taking it, at least my weekends, to do art that I'm actually like passionate about again. It's been a while since I've just designed for the design's sake. So taking the weekends to do that has been refreshing. There's so much stuff now that I'm like interested in learning outside of just like kind of my standards that I've set for myself for designing t-shirt art. So that's been really fun. And to like, I think one of the reasons I love art so much is like you can never learn it all. Like there's a million different styles, there's a million different ways of doing things. And kind of learning that skill from the keyword side of Amazon and just selling on Amazon in general, like things change almost every day. They change so much. So it's cool to use that skill of like learning out how do things change on Amazon? How do we adapt to that? How do we stay on top of, all of the content policy issues and trademarks and all of that, but taking that skill set and actually using it inside of art where it's like, oh, I can look at like, all these new art styles that are popping up and kind of do research on art that I want to learn how to do. So that's been really, I guess, rewarding to see like I can use a skill from work and actually use it for my passion, which is really cool. That like discovery research that Steven talks about, I can do that for art now, which is pretty cool. So the update for this, I almost said pre-flight. We've been doing so many videos for that. The update for this Merch Monday is that I'm going to be posting 5 questions every week. So Monday through Friday, I'm going to post a question just around art things that either I'm curious about or that I think like there's good knowledge in this group. I know there are more artists in this group because I went out and like asked artists to join this group. So I'm going to be posting questions in here, like the one that I posted today, which I can't think of. Oh, what tools do you use? And I think that's just an interesting question to ask so that you guys can see like there's so many tools out there that you can make artwork with. And so even if you don't have an answer for that, even if, if you've never created a merch listing or if you have a VA team do it all for you, I think it would be interesting for you just to go through and read some of the comments and see. Like, oh,
Another tornado warning?
Amber Alert.
Oh,
sorry about that.
Last time we were on a call, we got the tornado warning.
Yeah. The tornado was like, 10 minutes from here. Sorry, where was I? The question. So I think it'd be good for you guys to go through and just read, all the tools that people used or whatever that question for that day is, even if you don't feel like you can answer it. Just going through and reading, I think there's going to be a lot of knowledge there. And then if you see a question, that either helps you or that you have a question about, feel free to interact with everyone here. We've kind of, handpicked everybody in this group, I guess. We have you guys ask those questions, and I actually still go through and make a list of all the answers that you guys said, so I kind of know who's in this group.
Community. We filtered. I don't know if we handpicked.
Yeah, filtered is a better way. Yeah. So I don't think anyone's going to get upset if you ask a question or don't feel like there's any like super novice question that you can ask about art. Especially that's not something we've talked a ton about in this group. So there's not a ton of knowledge inside of this group, at least, about the art. So if you see affinity designer, what is that, and just ask the person. I've never heard of that tool. Is it free? What is it?
It's just more of conversation starters. Nathaniel has an idea for a class he's going to teach at the end of the month, but we like to. In attempts to make this an art month, we want to have all of the conversations in here about art and just see where everybody's at. No big secret that's not my forte, but I am interested to see where everybody's at and what tools they're using. I got a lot more excited about it inside the Pre-Flight 2.0. I think because it was a smaller group and just seeing the conversation and the assumptions that we had before about how people were getting art done, and then just being very shocked of how people were actually doing the art, and Nathaniel was able to streamline a lot of. I think even one of the people that answered in the crew group was like, I'll use this tool, and then I took it over here. I was like, we just assume everybody's like
either use one tool.
Yeah, and not like all of those
using
things to resize.
Exactly.
That was a big thing too. Like, I didn't understand how many people were going through and resizing with a different tool and not understanding how there were other easier ways to get that done. And then some of the people that were just paying a lot of money for tools, and then you just breaking down, this is not, you're not really painting a picture, you're making t-shirt art. You don't have to have all of these tools to go that in depth, and this is why you're not having the success, because you're really creating a piece of art, and that's not really what people want on a t-shirt. They want simpler t-shirt designs. All of that knowledge, I just want you to be able to like bundle together nicely and answer questions on that stuff, because I didn't understand how big of a disconnect it was. I think just because I'm so disconnected from art, and then hearing the conversations and going, oh, there's a huge need here. How do we fill this need? And my assumption was like artists just knew how to do art, but there's, I guess, just like keywords, there's so many tools, there's so many different ways of doing things that it is like, are you doing it the most efficient way? Maybe not. And you're just doing it to get it done, and it's really adding way more steps and layers that are not needed.
So there's just a bunch of knowledge in this group. So even if you are using 10 different tools and you're like, oh, I don't want to say that I use all these tools, just saying that and then allowing people in this community, or myself, I've been reading all these comments, just be like, hey, you can streamline that. If you're using Photoshop, that can probably do everything those other tools are doing already, and you're paying for it, or had paid for it in the past, so you might as well just use that one tool. So yeah, I'm excited to talk more about art in this group. I'm going to be designing more. I've even gotten some like clients around just design work, not t-shirt related, which is exciting for me to do some of that stuff again.
Yeah, brand building, which is like, I felt like we went way off the tracks
to get back where
the last 2 months, and finally like it's coming back. It's coming back different too, because I thought I would be leading the charge, and now somehow it was like handed to you, and I was like, oh, okay, nice, all right. A little jealous, but okay, we're still getting there.
Yeah, so excited about all the art talk that's going to come, but we know it's Q4, and we've been going for like almost 20 minutes already. I guess we talked about 2.0 for a while. That didn't feel that long.
No, just so excited.
Yeah, I like talking about it.
Yeah, so. It was such an eye-opening experience. I felt like this year was a big struggle of like, just starting. Is this something that we want to do? And then just answering questions, and then this thing just grew from answering questions. And then we kind of like stumbled into a lot of teaching methods that we kind of emulated from different people, and none of them really felt like ours. But then finally doing this, it was like, oh, here's something we truly enjoy, and look at the impact that we're now having with these people. This now feels like our thing. Now we can go into next year knowing that, and let's cater our teaching around this. So just very exciting to finally feel like we understand what the next step is, instead of like, oh, we could try this, and we could try this, and we could try this. Like, now we have a thing where we go, okay, now we just need to make this better.
Right. We came from doing business with a lot of like face-to-face and sit down, go grab lunch, and a lot of that. So we like thrive off of interaction and having questions thrown at us. So when we decided we want to do teaching online, it was really easy when we first started, because there was a bunch of questions being thrown out, and now we have like this, we feel like this massive group, and we're like, oh man, how do we interact with these people again? So kind of breaking it back down to a smaller group, like there's a ton of interaction. Some of those videos that we did had like 200 comments on it, just like while we were live, of people just asking us questions so we could answer. So that is really what we like doing, because we feel like we're able to, give advice that people are actually going to take action on. If you're asking us a question, the answer is much more powerful than if I'm like preemptively telling you something that is not even like crossing your mind yet. So that's why we're constantly asking for feedback, for questions. We feel like that information is going to make you take action a lot more than, here's this pre-recorded course that we're going to push to you. You might watch the whole thing, you might not, you might get busy and not ever take action on it.
Yeah, you're going to have questions that you're going to ask us, and
exactly.
I'm going to not remember what exactly it was that you're having a problem with to ask me the question. Like, you're not going to say, oh, when you said this at this timestamp in this video, that's not how the questions come. The questions come, oh, you said this, and it could have been something we recorded 6 months ago and the thing has changed. So just taking all of that into consideration and going, okay, this is how we should teach. Because even as we were teaching the 2 months, some things changed and we were able to address it right there. Even how Amazon now is displaying results again. Yeah, and the ads, like all that stuff is constantly changing. So to have a tight group where we can go, this is where we're at right now. This is what we were saying before. This is what we say now. And just like going back to, you really have a budget because things are going to constantly change. This is how we feel about them. And like going super into depth on like a lot of impactful information at the time. And then understanding that as this thing goes on, this will change. So when you talk to us again in a few months, it will change. This is advice that we're giving now for this reason. And everybody's kind of on board with that and seeing it change in real time. Instead of like you said, having a recording that who knows it was 6 months ago, you watch that and then go, this is what you said then. Why are you saying this now? And I think James was doing that too, because he was in this from pretty much the beginning, and something that we were advising people to do in like,
I think it was the bullet points.
March.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And we changed the bullet points so much. And he was like, oh, I thought you said to do it this way. And then it was like, oh, we did, but things are constantly changing. So having that smaller group, I think, is by far the best way for us to teach.
We kind of joke about it and like point at it a lot, but I don't think I don't know, not everyone might take it as serious as like Amazon changes all the time. Even today, me and Steven sitting down
trying to make slides
research
for a presentation, and I did it on my computer in the other room, came in here to show Nathaniel, and it was different, and then had a realization of like, oh, I wonder how often this thing is changing now, and then just us refreshing the page and going like, okay, we're gonna have to dig into this because this is completely different now.
So it is always changing. So advice that we give, I mean, the principles have pretty much stayed the same. We still have a 5-step test, which that might even have been 7 when we started. We kind of cut it back. Like things like that I think are staying the same. How we're doing research first and then artwork, like big principles are staying the same. But as far as like the actual numbers and the way we do our bullet points, which we shared, and all of the like detailed oriented stuff, that's all going to have to change. We keep it fluid in-house. A lot of what we're doing, I don't think there's anything that has stayed like exactly the same since we started. Everything has changed a little bit here. Even how we work with the VAs, how the VAs interact with each other, all of that stuff is constantly just changing. And I think that's why we both love our VA team so much, is like they're okay with the change. They're okay.
Yeah, logging into merch is probably the only constant. Like you still use the same email address and the same password might be the only thing that's been the same since January. Other than that, everything has changed.
Yeah. So it's been a wild ride. And like I said, we kind of like make light of that, but that is something definitely to keep in mind. Like if we told you how to run ads 6 months ago and then you're trying that exact method today, it's probably not going to work out so great for you. So that's what we said. Like Steven said, set that budget. I just say now is not the time to learn how to run ads. It's all over the place. I don't even look at that stuff anymore. Steven tries to show me. I'm like, you just might as well be speaking to the winds.
Ads last week, one of them had a 800% ACoS. And if you know anything about ads, like a good ACoS is like low percentage, like 30% or lower is good ad percent. 100% means you're losing money. 800% means you're losing a lot of money. So just the fact of how they're tracking the stuff, there's too much going on for us to feel like here's a strategy, other than like, if you do want to do it, set a budget, be very tight on the budget, have end dates for anything that you run, because fourth quarter is crazy. You don't want to set something up and forget about it, and then in 2 weeks go, oh, I had a $30 daily budget and it's been 2 weeks and the thing's been running and now I owe hundreds of dollars to this thing that wasn't working, and I should have been on top of it. I should have been adding negative words. It's too crazy to go into. So if you do really want to go into it, make sure you set a very tight budget, have end dates on all of your ads. I don't care how good you are or think it's fourth quarter, everything is crazy. Be on top of all that stuff, because it's the fastest way to spend a lot of money and not get any true information or results back.
So with that public service announcement,
should like cut that out and have that warning flashing. Can you do like a video in the background? Just whenever I start getting amped up, you should just hit a button and it just has that Steven rant.
Yeah, I'm gonna wrap this up. We had a question that I saw earlier. Renine was asking, can you add youth sizes to a listing that's already live? Unfortunately, no. That's one of the things you can't change, along with like the t-shirt color and stuff like that. Most of what you can change is just the brand name, title, and the bullet points, and the pricing, I guess. But also something to note about those youth sizes, they did just change the policy on them. So that is something extremely important to know if you are going to make
medical marijuana, no marijuana.
Yeah, on youth sizes. If you're going to make a youth size shirt, you cannot include alcohol or drugs of any kind. So that's the new marijuana stuff that they're allowing. But even beer shirts that a lot of people were making before can no longer list those on youth sizes. The sexual suggestive content, promotion of violence, so like blood, guns, and gore, or any profanity, which they also changed their rules on that. So if you guys want to know that, you can just go check your dashboard, but that's definitely important stuff to read up on. If you're going to be listing shirts in any of those categories, make sure you are not selecting youth sizes. So, I think that's the only question I saw in chat. If you guys have questions, feel free to post them in this group. We love talking with you guys and just dropping knowledge. My fingers actually got tired today of just typing out so many things. I think I'm going to start jumping on more like short calls. I typed out like 4 paragraphs to like multiple people today, just trying to explain.
Yeah, you're a better one than me because I don't.
Stuff.
Yeah.
No, I love sharing
ask it in
information.
the group, and some other people will get back to you. I do not have the time. Sorry.
No, I probably spent a little bit too much time, but that's like what I enjoy doing, so I don't mind too much. The shout out this week is going to go to Chris. He, I think just a couple hours ago, posted in the group, said that he talked to an influencer just by sending out an email, and now that is going to lead to at least a large audience seeing his shirt, which is awesome. That's a lot more of what I want to be talking about next year, is more outside the box thinking, not just the organic search that we've systemized. Yeah. We still love teaching on that. It's a great way to build a business, but there's definitely a lot more ways to use merch as a tool, which we're always saying merch is just a tool that fits into kind of our tool belt. And so I want to be talking about those a lot more next year, especially while traveling this year, having a lot of cool conversations and meeting with businesses, and that even now turning into more opportunities.
Yeah, even the call that we had Friday, like being able to talk about that here in the group and go, this is a possibility. This is how it came about. Like, we have a lot of those, which I think we talked about a little bit in this group. When your friend had the fishing shirt, we talked about other opportunities, but definitely next year with you traveling and all the opportunities, I want you to be able to share those as we kind of
there's
are
way
in the middle
more
of them.
You can do than just organic search. We think that's where your foundation should be, so you have a firm understanding of merch, but there's so many other opportunities out there.
You do need to understand
exciting.
the traffic side to be able to partner up with people. And I feel like if you've been in this group, you have a good foundation of that. Now we want to start building on top of that foundation. And I think more than merch too. I think we might be renaming the group, possibly.
Yeah, so part of the rebranding stuff that I'm learning is so that I can do some of that in January. None of that is set in stone, but just thoughts being thrown out there.
I think Wingman will stay. Just might cover up that part of it.
Yeah, we'll talk about that more in the upcoming weeks. But just remember, at the end of this month, I do want to teach an art class. There's no set date or price or anything on that, but it is going to be art focused. So that's why I'm going to be asking a lot more art questions, see what you guys are maybe struggling on, or something that I think, some of the questions might spark ideas for something I can add to the class that I've already kind of skeletoned out. But that should be exciting. So there's more information to come on that in the next week or two. But we just wanted to let you guys know that's what we're planning on doing this whole month. So if you're like Steven and you just can't stand art, maybe, I don't know, at least read the comments. I think there's a lot of good information that's going to be shared there. So ask any questions, even if you think they're silly.
I was very opposed to art, but I think now after going to do the 2.0 and seeing how people are doing art, it's got me interested again. I think if you're like me and you don't like art, just to see what other people are doing, to wrap your head around it, to then go, oh, I can do this, or I could do this part of it, and oh, I didn't understand that, and the art thing was so overwhelming, and this made it so much clearer. to me. I think that was the part that was really tripping me up, is because you had it handled so well that I didn't have to worry about it. But then when I saw other people's concern, I was like, oh, that if I was somebody like me that was very analytical, I think just looking at the art would have been so overwhelming that I would have had the same perspective as them. It's like, oh, I have to use these 3-4 tools to get it done. Like, this is such a nightmare. And then you just streamlining all that and then go, okay, now, because even me using some of the things that were suggested, I've been fooling around with. And then Desi, she loves taking pictures and messing around with photography, and then just being able to like show her some different things, and it got me excited about that. Wouldn't say like now I'm going to dive into it, but at least I have an appreciation and feel like I could do it if I wanted to.
Yeah, and that's part of what I want to teach in this class, is going to make art not feel so overwhelming. Show you tools that you can use to get art done and still make competitive designs. And if you are more advanced and you want to learn how to break down Photoshop, I mean, we'll try to talk about some of that stuff as well. Teaching on that is much more involved, but definitely making art feel less overwhelming is my plan.
Accessible.
Yeah, accessible. So, and still be competitive and be able to find those sales on merch. So, thank you guys so much for joining us. I think we're going to sign off now.
I think that might be a challenge for me. Can I create a piece of art and get it sold?
That'd be a good challenge to do.
I'm going to try that out.
So we appreciate you guys sticking with us. We know it's Q4 and it's crazy time, but we're excited about this month. We're excited about next month and just the whole next year. So if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to leave them in this post or in the group, and we'll try and get back with you. But until next Monday, we'll see you then.